Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports news every single day. And today, it's finally official. The Los Angeles Lakers will face the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round of the 2025 NBA playoffs. And this is not just any matchup. It's the first time these two teams meet in the postseason since the early 2000s. We're talking Kobe and Shaq versus Kevin Garnett. We're talking 2003. We're talking 2004. But while history might be on the Lakers' side, this time, it feels very different. The storylines are richer, the stakes are higher, and the stars on both sides on another level. But here's the thing, this isn't just a clash of talent. This is a clash of styles, strategies, and storylines that have been building all season long. And with Luka Doncic now leading the charge for LA after a blockbuster trade that shocked the league, and the Timberwolves trying to prove that last year's deep playoff run wasn't a fluke, we might be in for one of the most unpredictable, high-stakes first-round matchups in recent memory. So what makes this series so fascinating? What hidden advantages might the Lakers hold that the national media isn't talking about? Could Luka Doncic be the Wolves' worst nightmare once again? Or is this the moment Anthony Edwards takes the next step and announces himself as the future face of the Western Conference? Stick around because we're going to break it all down, matchup by matchup, stat by stat, storyline by storyline. And by the end of this video, you might start seeing this series in a very different light. Let's start with what got us here. The Lakers finished the season with a late surge, fueled by the instant chemistry between LeBron James and Luka Doncic, two of the smartest, most creative offensive players the game has ever seen. After trading Anthony Davis at the deadline in a move that many thought would sink their season, Rob Pelinka and head coach J.J. Redick rolled the dice. And wow, has it paid off. Since the trade, the Lakers have gone 17-6, with Luka averaging nearly a triple-double and LeBron playing some of his most efficient basketball in years. On the other hand, the Timberwolves have been inconsistent. After a blazing start to the season and a trip to the Western Conference Finals last year, many expected Minnesota to build on that momentum. But the mid-season trade of Karl-Anthony Towns to New York, a move that brought in Julius Randle, has left the team searching for rhythm. Randle hasn't exactly clicked with the rest of the roster, and while Anthony Edwards has continued his rise to superstardom, questions remain about how this team functions in tight playoff scenarios. But here's where things get really interesting, the matchups. On paper, Minnesota looks like the more balanced team defensively. They got Rudy Gobert anchoring the paint, Jaden McDaniels is a premier perimeter defender, and Ant, who can guard multiple positions. But, and this is a big but, they haven't faced this version of the Lakers yet. They haven't faced Luka in purple and gold. And if history is any indication, Luka might be the Timberwolves' kryptonite. Just last year, in the Western Conference Finals, Luka absolutely torched this Minnesota defense. He averaged over 32 points per game, shooting 47% from the field and over 43% from three. He made Rudy Gobert look unplayable in drop coverage, constantly exploiting the space created by soft hedges and forcing switches that left Minnesota scrambling. So the question becomes, what can the Timberwolves possibly do to stop that from happening again? Could they send double teams early? Maybe. But that just opens up the floor for LeBron, Austin Reeves, and the Lakers shooters. Could they switch everything and try to keep Luka guessing? Possibly. But again, you're asking Julius Randle and Mike Conley to hold their own in space against one of the most manipulative ball handlers in the world. And what about Anthony Edwards? Could he take on the Luka assignment and try to shut him down personally? Some insiders believe that might be the plan, but that raises another issue. How much energy can Ant realistically expend on defense if he's expected to carry the offense too? And that brings us to the other side of the ball. How will the Lakers guard Minnesota? Because let's be clear, Anthony Edwards is not the same player he was even a year ago. His ability to create off the dribble, finish at the rim, and hit the step-back three makes him a nightmare for almost any defense. But the Lakers might have something most teams don't, depth on the wing. Jared Vanderbilt is back. Dorian Finney-Smith was a sneaky part of the AD trade, and both of them can guard multiple positions. Vanderbilt, in particular, has a history with Ant, not just as former teammates, but as fierce competitors. You better believe he's going to make that personal. In fact, don't be surprised if the Lakers rotate defenders on Ant throughout the game. Give him different looks. Double from different angles. Throw some early blitzes. Because if you can frustrate him, if you can force him into tough shots early, that can change the whole tone of the series. But let's zoom out here because there's a bigger question at play. Are the Lakers peaking at the perfect time? I mean, think about it. They have two top 10 players in Luka and LeBron. They've quietly become one of the most efficient offensive teams since the trade. Their defense, while not elite, has shown real signs of cohesion. And most importantly, they've been here before. LeBron has seen every type of defense. Luka has proven he's built for the playoffs. Minnesota? They're talented. They're physical. And they're young. But are they ready for this kind of pressure? Some fans are wondering if this could be the beginning of another early exit for Minnesota. Others believe it's a changing of the guard moment, that Ant is about to take the throne and knock LeBron out of the playoffs for what could be the last time. And here's something else to consider: coaching. J.J. Redick has taken some major risks in his first year as head coach, but so far, they've paid off. His use of modern spacing, creative sets for Luka and Reeves, and trust in bench guys like Jackson Hayes and Jordan Goodwin has re-energized the Lakers. On the other side, Chris Finch is under real pressure. If the Wolves go out early again, especially after last year's run, questions will start to get loud. So, what's the X factor? Who could swing this series? Could it be Rui Hachimura, who quietly has been shooting over 40% from deep over the last 2 months? Could it be Mike Conley, whose veteran leadership might be the glue Minnesota needs? Or could it be the chess match between two first-time playoff coaches with everything to prove? This series isn't just about basketball. It's about legacy. It's about future. And most of all, it's about pressure. Because whether it's Luka trying to prove he can win in LA, or Ant trying to show he's ready to lead a franchise, someone is going to come out of this series with a new narrative. But what do you think about all of this? Do the Lakers have enough firepower to take down the Wolves? Will Luka once again make Gobert irrelevant? Or is Ant about to shock the world and take LeBron and Luka out in round one? And let's not forget about LeBron James. Yes, he's 40. Yes, he's been in the league for over 2 decades. But somehow, someway, he's still impacting the game in ways that even younger stars struggle to replicate. His ability to control pace, direct traffic, and pick his spots is almost surgical. You can bet he's already dissecting film on Minnesota's weak spots, looking for that one wrinkle he can exploit when the moment matters most. Then there's the Luka-LeBron dynamic, and that might be the biggest wild card of all. We've seen superstar duos struggle to coexist, especially when both players are used to having the ball in their hands. But this pairing has defied expectations. They complement each other surprisingly well. Luka's crafty, deliberate approach balances perfectly with LeBron's athletic bursts and veteran timing. It's like watching a masterclass in basketball IQ every possession. Meanwhile, Minnesota's backcourt will face its toughest test yet. Can Mike Conley keep up with the tempo that Luka and LeBron dictate? Can Nickeil Alexander-Walker provide enough scoring off the bench to relieve the pressure on Edwards? Those are questions that could define not just Game 1, but the entire trajectory of the series. And speaking of benches, the Lakers might quietly have the better second unit. Jackson Hayes brings energy and rim protection. Max Christie has shown flashes of being a real 3-and-D contributor. And Jordan Goodwin? He's the kind of gritty, do-the-dirty-work guard who can swing momentum with just a couple hustle plays. If Minnesota doesn't get solid minutes from their bench, this could get lopsided in a hurry. Rebounding will also play a massive role. Without Anthony Davis, many expected the Lakers to suffer on the glass. But they've held their own thanks to collective effort and smart positioning. Against a big team like Minnesota, though, that'll be put to the test. Look for early signs in Game 1. If the Lakers are winning the rebounding battle, it could be a long night for the Wolves. Don't underestimate the revenge factor either. Remember, it was Minnesota who embarrassed the Lakers earlier this season with a 22-point blowout in front of a national audience. That loss lingered. And for a group of veterans with pride and championship aspirations, that kind of moment becomes fuel. You can bet they've had this matchup circled for weeks. There's also the crowd factor. If the Lakers can steal one on the road and bring the series back to Crypto.com Arena with momentum, that building is going to be electric. Few environments in sports match the intensity of a playoff game in Los Angeles. It's not just fans, it's stars, legends, pressure, and expectation all packed into one iconic venue. And that pressure, it cuts both ways. For Minnesota, this series represents a test of growth. Last year was the breakthrough. This year is about proving it wasn't a one-time thing. If they falter now, if they get bounced in 5 or 6 games, it could lead to uncomfortable questions about the roster, the coaching, and the franchise's long-term direction. One of the more under-the-radar elements heading into this series is pace. The Lakers have slowed things down post-trade, operating more in the half-court and trusting Luka's deliberate orchestration. That could be an issue for Minnesota, who often thrive in transition and rely on getting Edwards easy buckets before the defense gets set. And we haven't even mentioned the whistle yet. Playoff basketball is different. The physicality ramps up. Calls become more inconsistent. And veteran teams usually know how to manipulate those moments. Luka, in particular, is a master at drawing fouls and baiting defenders into bad decisions. That could put real strain on Minnesota's rotation if key guys like Gobert or Randle pick up early fouls. Let's also talk about the mental game. Luka has a certain swagger, that smirk, that slow walk back up the court after a dagger three, and it gets under people's skin. If he starts cooking, if he gets the crowd involved and forces Minnesota to second-guess their matchups, that's when the series tilts. He doesn't just beat teams with skill. He breaks their spirit. But the Timberwolves have their own spark plug in Ant. He feeds off doubt. He lives for the big moment. If he starts hitting those tough step-backs and staring down defenders, it's going to light a fire under the whole roster. Don't be surprised if we get a couple of those Ant versus Luka shootout quarters that become instant classics. And while much of the spotlight is on the stars, don't overlook the coaching chess match that's about to unfold. J.J. Redick is a rookie coach, sure, but he's also one of the sharpest basketball minds of his generation. His understanding of spacing, tempo, and off-ball movement has already started reshaping the Lakers' offense. On the flip side, Chris Finch has been grinding in the coaching world for years. He's methodical, experienced, and knows how to adjust mid-series. Game-to-game strategy could be everything. Another factor that could tilt things: turnovers. The Lakers have done a much better job valuing possessions since the trade, thanks in large part to Luka's careful decision-making. But when they do get sloppy, it often leads to back-breaking runs by the opponent. Minnesota loves to feast in transition, especially when Ant is flying down the court. If the Lakers can keep their turnovers low, that might be the hidden key to controlling the tempo. One storyline that hasn't gotten enough attention is the battle in the paint. Without AD, the Lakers rely more on switching and perimeter defense, but they still need someone to challenge Rudy Gobert at the rim. Jackson Hayes will have a huge role here. If he can stay out of foul trouble and provide even a little vertical spacing on offense, it changes the equation for Minnesota's bigs. Then there's the question of physicality. This series is going to be a war, plain and simple. There's no room for finesse-only players when the games slow down and every possession becomes a fight. Watch how players like Vanderbilt and Randle set the tone early. The team that wins the physical battle might just win the series. And let's talk about Austin Reeves. The guy's been clutch in big moments all season long. He's not just a role player anymore. He's a legitimate third option who can create off the dribble, draw contact, and knock down big shots. If Minnesota focuses too much on Luka and LeBron, Reeves could easily sneak in and steal a game by himself. The Timberwolves, meanwhile, need someone outside of Ant to step up. Julius Randle has had flashes of brilliance, but his shot selection can be erratic. Mike Conley brings stability, but he's not going to win you games with volume scoring. If Jaden McDaniels or Naz Reid can deliver a surprise 20-point night, that could be the swing the Wolves desperately need. Another wild card for Minnesota? Their crowd. The Target Center isn't always mentioned with the loudest arenas in the league, but during last year's playoff run, it turned into a legitimate pressure cooker. If the Wolves get off to a hot start at home, that crowd might rattle the younger Lakers role players. On the other hand, if LA punches first, the silence could be deafening. Speaking of pressure, how will these teams respond in crunch time? We know LeBron thrives in late-game situations. We've seen Luka hit daggers on the biggest stages. But has Anthony Edwards proven he can close a tight playoff game with everything on the line? That might be the next step in his evolution, not just scoring, but making winning plays when it counts most. And don't sleep on the role of officiating in this series. The Lakers, especially LeBron and Luka, are masters at drawing fouls. Minnesota will need to stay disciplined and avoid frustration fouls that could give LA easy points at the line. One or two questionable calls in a close game could shift everything. Then there's the pace of the series as it evolves. The first couple of games will likely be high energy and fast-paced, but watch for that to slow dramatically as the series wears on. Legs get heavy, adjustments tighten, and every possession becomes a chess move. That favors the more experienced team, and right now that's the Lakers. We also have to consider momentum. If the Lakers take Game 1, they seize control and force Minnesota to play from behind, emotionally and tactically. But if the Timberwolves come out swinging and grab an early win, that might be the confidence boost they need to believe they can pull off the upset. Momentum can swing fast in a playoff series, and it's often the invisible force that decides everything. Personally, I think this might be the most dangerous Lakers team we've seen in years. Not because of raw talent, but because of how cohesive they've looked lately. Luka looks locked in. LeBron is playing with joy again. The role players know their roles. And with the Wolves having so many question marks, I honestly think the Lakers might win this series in 5 or 6. But again, that's just my take. I can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Lakers News Fan Report, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. The playoffs are here, and this is going to be a wild ride. See you next time.